So welcome back, everybody. This is Paul again from 2012crossing.com, and I'm going to continue my series about a very difficult subject, which is the possibility of an exo-civilization. In other words, right now and for for a long time before now, there has been on Earth some small groups of technically and consciously advanced beings that have had a lot of influence in the history of civilization and so on. And it's a very difficult subject to approach because it means that there may be some kind of an other civilization or groups of people who, for all practical purposes, are totally separate from our modern world of countries and so on, and that they have actually been here for a really long time, and that the history of countries and religions and so on has been very much influenced by what the ancient people used to call gods. Now, gods in what sense? Because the idea that there are more consciousness, for example, right now in this world right now that we live in, there are places in the world where we just have all the complete technology, instant everything, and then there's secret places where there's secret technology and it's just completely out of this world. And then at the same time, right here on this planet Earth, there are people still running around the jungles of Brazil or the Amazon or Africa or India or Siberia, and there's places in the world where people are just living in an incredibly primitive way. Now, what I'm proposing is that there has been for a very long time a small group of people who have always been very technically, like several generations ahead of us. Now, if that had been true in the past, and that what we have is the evidence of stories, repeated stories from around the world, that at least there was a small number of people, extraordinary beings, referenced, in other words, technically so far advanced that what their technology seemed to them, to the other people, as being like magic. Now, there's a lot of evidence for this around the world. And now what does that suggest? That look, okay, these structures that have existed, yes, we don't find lots and lots of, we're not going to find iPhones and that sort of thing because the technology that they had was very different. We know it seems to be they really were interested in astronomy. They were very interested in gold, and they were very apparently they were able to fly in some manner or form through some kind of machine. Apparently, this is what these different cultures around the world said. And this is what I mean, if you just take it as literal value, you say, look, they can't all be lying. They can't all be, it's just too common. Okay? Now, again, here we are in the 21st century, and we're still doing the same thing. We're still talking about what seemed to be some very weird stuff going on, technology that we don't know about, generally speaking. So that even if we, for example, I'm using this little iPhone, and to think that there might be some kind of a technology, that may be a kind of technology that I can't even imagine. Like when I was young, in the 70s, there's no way I could imagine what we have sitting in front of me here. So just try to imagine if there's technically advanced beings who are on this Earth. They're not really, they're in the solar system. Let's say they figured it out a long time ago. We're starting to figure it out, so they could have figured it out. They taught us. That's what many of these cultures said. They taught us everything. So we're still being taught in some way. Now, I think that there's a number of different kinds of these groups, okay? Now, there's materially minded kind, and they split it off. My secret, they got compartmentalized. That one secret group doesn't realize that this other secret group even exists. They think they're the only secret group. Now, the technology, the mastery of awareness has been practiced in the eastern regions of the world for thousands and thousands of years. And that kind of a knowledge, the science of awareness, is an invisible knowledge, you might say. It doesn't have machines. But that kind of internal knowledge can allow people to understand cosmic physics, you might say. And what is a human being, and what is the psyche, and what is the mind, and what is the soul, and so on. But then there are groups of people, and we know this, okay, let's just take it at face value, that there's military projects in most of the advanced countries of the world that are totally secret, that have technology that we can't imagine right now. We just have to accept that, because it's true, and it's just, so we know that's out there. Now, what does that mean today? Now, it means that on the one hand, we have people out there with a lot of power, and then there's probably some of these top powerful people who influence the world with money and politics and so on. Those people may have contact, secret contact, with kinds of beings who, again, you know, they don't, it's not, the aliens don't look like us, coincidentally. It means that we look like them. In other words, there's kind of a basic functionality in the way that consciousness can express itself that makes a body such as the ones we have. And that has undergone some amazing changes over the last many thousands of years. That how about these sudden civilizations that just popped up? Because human awareness was integrated with some kind of, again, it's knowledge, it's information, it's teaching, it's science. It's the science of knowledge, the science of awareness, science of materials. Now, some of these kind of societies that are secret, they really, you know, they're very selfish. They're out there. And, you know, the idea that there's something completely, you know, we have to become aware that just like that eye on the top of the pyramid, there's something being told to us that there's a separate awareness, you might say. Now, again, I think groups over the thousands of years since the last ice age and civilization had to be restarted and everything, I think that various groups have hidden it, and some people are more material, and they're extremely manipulative. The finances and the power structure and the militaries of the world being manipulated for incredibly selfish ends. But on the other hand, there's a large number, a very huge large number of people who are influencing the awareness from within. And I really suggest people do a little research. This is a very small introduction to a very, very controversial subject. The idea that there's just almost like another civilization that we don't know about. And where would they live after a while? Yeah, well, if they can fly, if they can go out into, say, Mars or Pluto, or they want to go out to the moon or something, on the backside of the moon, have bases there, or just stay out in space. But on the other hand, there's underground. There's places that are underwater. Maybe they have found technology to go underwater. So there's ways to hide on this earth if you have the right technology. There's cloaking technology, after all. I mean, we're starting to do that ourselves, cloaking technology. So I'm going to have to talk a little more about this subject in other segments, because it's just a vast subject, and I'm starting to think that, you know, that answers a lot of questions about what goes on in this world. That there's certain manipulations and powers that we don't have a relationship to. I mean, they're beyond a country. They're like solar system wide, you might say. So anyway, a lot to think about. Follow my playlists, and I appreciate all the feedback, and thanks again for watching.